Welcome back. I'm going to be going through questions 8 and 9 of chapter 1 of the study guide for Strange New World. So, reading from the book is The Sexual Revolution and Sexual Fulfillment. The sexual revolution does not simply represent a growth in the routine transgression of traditional sexual codes or even a modest expansion of the boundaries of what is and is not acceptable behavior. Sexual behavior. Not at all. Rather, it is the repudiation of the very idea of such codes in their entirety. More than that, it has come in certain areas. It has come in certain areas, such as that of homosexuality and transgenderism, to require the positive repudiation of traditional sexual mores to the point where belief in or maintenance of such traditional views has come to be seen as ridiculous and even a sign of serious mental or moral deficiency. And to understand this, we need to see the sexual revolution as a particularly sharp manifestation of the characteristics of expressive individualism. If the individual's inner identity is defined by sexual desire, then he or she must be allowed to act out on that desire in order to be an authentic person. So there's a lot there. I should just find this part. It's page 25. Just find it, read it, study it. Good. Go back and listen to that and read that. Question 8. Where do we see the idea that personal fulfillment necessarily involves sexual fulfillment being promoted or even assumed today? So you find this in the gay movement. I talked previously about my friend Bob. Integral to his identity was that he was a gay man. That was part of his identity. If he was not able to be a gay man, he was not going to be a fulfilled man. That's how he viewed it. You see this, all over the place. Everyone talks about that. Even the philanderer, the heterosexual philanderer, they view if they're not able to express themselves sexually, they're not being a fulfilled man. You see this across the board. You have started to see, if you start to read some of the literature and listen to some of the presentation and talks, is that pedophiles are actually victims. What they're victims of is their biology, because their biology is driving them to do what pedophiles do. So they're victims. And they're victims because they can't have sex. They can't have sex the way that they want to have sex. But this is even starting to come about among Christian circles. Our view of the single life, our view of even the married life. I've known a lot of Christians that said, "Oh, I can't wait to get married so I can have guilt-free sex." And I was like, "That's not the purpose of marriage." All right, let's be clear on that. It's not, the sex is not the purpose of marriage. It's a blessing within marriage. Sex is a joy from the Lord, but there are many who are afraid of dying a virgin. Sex is wonderful. Sex is great. I've been married for several years now, almost 10 years. Sex is wonderful, but it's not the end all be all. To die a virgin in the Lord, living in the Lord, is way better than having 100 different partners. Trust me. I'll skip this in the next part. Question 9. What language or terminology is used by society to discredit those who dissent from the sexual revolution? So we all know this verbiage. Remember, this is what the cultural progressives or leftists, whatever you want to call them, say about the people who say, no, there should be rules to who can and cannot have sex and stuff. We all know that pejoratives. Repressive, regressive, old-fashioned, puritanical. Within Christian, it's, that's just purity culture. A very ill-defined term when they throw that out as a slur. So that's just purity culture. What's wrong with purity? You have to think about these things. Like, find the presuppositions of what's going on here. They're holding sex at such a high thing that purity culture, something that's good, pure. And there's a lot of stuff wrong with the purity culture and purity movement, so I don't have time here. But the idea of purity is a good thing. We should want purity. But they hold sex, of being able to have sex, at such a high bar that they're, no. You got to get rid of purity. Have to get rid of purity so you can have sex. One of the other ones is, if you're a man and you express some of the views that I have, we sometimes get called a misogynist. If you're a woman that expresses these types of views, or wants to wait, or wants to do all these things, doesn't want to engage in certain sexual acts, she's called a prude. So you get it from both sides. You get, if you're a man who holds traditional values, you're a misogynist because you're trying to control women. But if you're a woman who holds traditional values, you're a prude. So as you see, is like you have to come and meet them on their terms. And their terms are, there can be no restrictions on sex whatsoever. Because if you do, you're either a misogynistic man who wants the patriarchy and Handmaid's Tale, or you're a woman and you're a prude, and you don't understand, and you haven't been liberated yet. Because that's the terminology. Men are oppressors, women need to be liberated. So if you don't like sex as a woman, you just haven't been liberated yet. And we're going to start to get into that over the next many chapters.